content.
Welcome
All
back
right.
to Corner on the Macabre.
Yeah.
My name is Craig,
My name is Randy.
and this week we're coming back to you with the next Halloween film in the new trilogy, Halloween Kills. We start right off with Cameron walking along, and he's calling Oscar because he doesn't know that Oscar is hanging by his jaw on a gate.
Yes.
He's trying to call him because he's like, "Oh, I screwed up with Allison. I really fucked up. Blah 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 blah."
He really did. He was being one hell of a dick.
He did. He was being a dick. That phone in the cheese dip really screwed everything up for Allison. And then of course he comes across Hawkins laying out there in the road. So he goes over to checks on him and finds out that Hawkins is still alive.
Yeah. Hawkins is like, "We got to kill him." Yes, he's got to die. He's got to die.
Yeah, he's got to die. Yeah, he's got to die. Says he has to die, and he's going to be the one to kill him.
Yes. And then,
we have this. Right after this part, I don't know. I thought about this. It might be my favorite part of like the whole new trilogy. The whole sequence, it might be my favorite. It's hard to say what is, but we go to a flashback. Of course, it's a
1978
new flashback of 1978.
Yes.
And we're introduced to young Hawkins.
Yes.
And they are chasing Michael Myers because in the original we were left with Loomis shooting Michael, and he falls out the window. And then when he goes to check, of course, Michael isn't there. So after that, that's where we kind of catch up in this flashback, and they're trying to hunt Michael down.
He's trying to go home.
Yeah, he's just trying to go. He just wants to go home. Just wants to go home. Stare out that window.
Yeah.
He sees Michael, and he actually fires a shot off at him, and he takes off and kind of disappears and runs after him. Of course, he's gone. The rest of the officers that are patrolling the area kind of show up. And Pete McCabe, played by the wonderful Jim Cummings.
Yes.
So if anybody doesn't know who he is, that was and if you're a horror fan or just a fan in general, Jim Cummings is a great writer, director, and actor.
Yeah. The first thing I ever seen of his that really made me go, "Ooh, this guy's good," was The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Fantastic movie. So yeah, extra bonus, Jim Cummings, Officer McCabe. Seems like he's kind of he's running things, so maybe he's more of the senior officer of them all. Hawkins is, they mentioned that he's a rookie at the time. So he kind of tells everybody where to go and where to check out, and he takes Hawkins with him, and they're walking along. He does have a little conversation with Hawkins about how he knew him as a kid, and like his mom would take him over there and make him like play at the Myers house because Michael didn't have anybody to play with. Because, there's just this creepy ass 6-year-old just staring out a window. And then we jump over to meeting young Lonnie. He's getting bullied by some other kids. And the cops come up and say, "You need to get home." Because, Michael's out there.
Yeah. Guy in a white mask.
Guy in a white mask. And the girl is like, "Well, it's Halloween, duh."
Yeah. But which is definitely 1978.
Yeah, definitely. What they end up taking off, we're going to cover is all the extended cut stuff, because I think that is the superior movie.
Yes.
And if you're going to watch the movie, I would definitely advise watching the extended cut. And if you've only seen the theatrical cut, I would highly suggest that you watch the extended cut. Mm-hmm. It's about 4 minutes of difference in time, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you watch a movie with 4 minutes of extra footage, it does actually changes tone, changes flow, and we get Lonnie going along, and then we kind of see Michael stalking him. He does his essential step out from the side of a bush and kind of peek out, and then disappears when Lonnie goes. He's not there anymore.
Right.
And then he gets freaked out and starts running and trips, of course, because that's what everybody does.
Yeah, it's a horror
and
movie.
Michael walks up, and of course Lonnie is absolutely terrified at this point.
He's
He
like,
just
"Ah!"
covers himself up.
Yeah.
And then Michael disappears, and Hawkins and
Ooh.
Officer McCabe are there.
Right there.
Yeah, he saw the boogeyman. I don't think he was going to kill Lonnie because, again, even though Michael's kind of out there killing at will, if there's no roadblock for him, there's no reason to just kind of off a kid. Yeah, the reason Michael was kind of around that area is because turns out Lonnie's right in front of the old Myers house.
Yeah.
Officer McCabe and Officer Hawkins noticed the Myers house. They decided to go inside. I caught this, and this lines up really cool with the original 78 version. I know at one point Loomis and the officer that he's with back then, when they come into the Myers house, there's a dead dog on the floor.
Yeah, and we never see it.
I think Loomis.
But
no, they just mention it.
Right.
And I think Loomis says something about, he must have got hungry, or
right.
I don't know.
Right. Like
alluding to maybe
dogs.
Weird. They don't really allude to that in this, but they make it a point to have the dead dog there. They end up going upstairs, checking rooms and whatnot, and then Officer McCabe goes up to the window, and he looks down and he notices there's some footprints kind of in the dust there, and he kind of just looks out, and out of nowhere Michael comes in and just attacks him. They do a nice job of shooting that. It really, with a little bit of shaky cam action, you really feel Michael slamming him around.
It shows the full force of Michael in the wild in the day.
Michael ends up kind of strangling him and getting behind him, and Hawkins comes in, and Hawkins doesn't quite know what to do, and he can't quite figure out how to get the best shot, but he's also panicking at the same time. So he fires off a round and unfortunately catches McCabe in the neck. But that gets Michael to retreat off and goes down the stairs to go outside, and Hawkins goes to go after Michael, but he decides to turn around and go check on McCabe. Officer McCabe asks Hawkins, tell me we got him. Tell me we got him. And in the background, you can hear Loomis, and you can hear the other officers out there. Hawkins is able to tell Officer McCabe before he dies right there in his arms that they did get him. But we do get to see a little Loomis. They did a really good job with I don't know who the stand-in was, but with the makeup and face rendering, look a lot like Loomis.
They did. Yeah. And what I remember about him is, did Michael kill again?
Did Michael kill again? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems silly now, but like if you go back and watch the originals, and I mean, and all the sequels, like Loomis, he is over dramatic.
Like in Halloween 2. I shot him 6 times. I shot him 6 times.
They cut to Michael being surrounded by all the cops. So you're kind of left understanding that's where he was caught, and that's when he got incarcerated. And then jump to the credits now. I don't know if I like it as much as 2018, just because the 2018 credits were so simple and perfect. But it is cool with we get the old
multiple
school pumpkins again.
Yeah,
I caught this last time I watched it. One of the pumpkins has a bleeding eye for Halloween 2. Yeah, I had never caught that before. We see the doctor and the nurse. They're at the bar going out for Halloween. This bar is having like a local talent show, so people there all dressed up, having fun. We are reintroduced to Tommy Doyle, who from the 78 version was the little boy that Laurie Strode was babysitting. So yeah, we get introduced to 3 or 4 kind of main supporting cast. Tommy Doyle. We get Lindsay
Wallace, who was being babysat by PJ Soles' character, Linda.
And then we have Lonnie. They introduce him in the flashback. They come down there every Halloween, and they always do kind of a remembrance thing for all the victims and survivors. And Tommy gets up there and introduces himself. He asks the crowd, have you ever heard of the Haddonfield Boogeyman? He goes into his story about the Haddonfield boogeyman and his experiences and what went down in 1978. And they kind of give a cheers in remembrance to the victims and survivors, and they specifically cheers Lori. And he mentions wherever she is. It seems like they don't keep in contact.
Yeah.
We go right to the truck.
Yeah.
Which is directly where we left off in 2018. Lori's bleeding profusely from a nice stab wound she got from Michael. Fire trucks start flying past him, and Lori's screaming, "Let it burn!" They're thinking that they may have gotten Michael. Here comes another one of my favorite sequences, and that's the big battle at the house while it's on fire with the firefighters.
Oh my gosh!
It's so good.
It's worth the price of admission.
It's Michael completely just unhinged. One of them's inside, and they're trying to put out the fire, and they're trying to see if anybody's in there, and he falls through the floor because, of course, the house is starting to give away from the fire, and he falls through. Mikey shows up while he's down there and kills him. In the meantime, there's another firefighter that hears the other firefighter's alarm going off, so he puts his hand down there to try to say, "Grab my hand," and his hand gets grabbed.
Yeah.
Bye, Michael.
Yeah.
And Michael just yanks him down there, and then we cut to the outside, and they've heard one of the firefighters scream, and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck was that?" And then we cut to the beautiful shot of the front where everything's just on fire, and it's almost raining because of all the water that they're using and the mist. And here comes Michael out the front door, and the
hero shot.
The hero shot.
Villain shot. But,
the villain shot. They do it a little bit of slow motion there as he's coming out, and he just looks so badass. They're all wet and surrounded by flames, and he's got the firefighter pickaxe thing with him, and of course everybody there is like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
What do we do?
And this is the first time we saw Michael use a saw.
Yeah, he gets a little creative here. It's
badass.
He goes
bloody.
Nuts. It's bloody as hell. He's just ripping into him and tearing him, beating him with things. The guy with the saw, he just turns the saw around on him and saws down on him, and the whole sequence is just so cool. I think that scene alone probably hit the kill count for most of the movies in the franchise. There's just no slowing him down. He's getting that power up, or so it's kind of alluded to after every kill. Right. After that, we go to the hospital, and getting Lori into the hospital, and Karen's with them, Allison's with them.
Right.
As they're going by, old Sheriff Brackett is sitting there, and he's the security guard for the hospital at this point. He hears Lori's name, and they zoom in just a little bit so you can catch his name tag. That's Sheriff Brackett from the 78 version.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got ties to Michael because he lost his daughter to him back in 78.
Oh God, yes.
So we're already starting in on how much Michael affects the town.
That's definitely what this film is about.
It's not just Michael, but it's what he's done to this town, and the evil has just seeped its way into everything.
Yeah.
I made the joke last time that nobody gave a shit that Ray's dead, which is Karen's husband and Allison's dad. So when she goes in to wash the blood off her hand, she specifically washes the blood off of her wedding ring first, and she closes the blinds in the room. You see her have kind of a breakdown there while Lori's getting surgery done.
Getting back to washing the blood off the ring, and she just wants to see her husband in the morgue, and then we have Oscar's mother seeing Oscar in the morgue. This movie tends to focus on the tragedy. You get the impact of those death scenes.
They hold a lot of meaning to all these people in this town.
There's a lot of weight to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weight to it, and that's definitely something that's not explored a lot. Halloween Kills, it's all about tragedy, but Halloween Kills is kind of Michael's movie, I guess.
Yes.
Of the new trilogy, this is definitely his shining film and dedicated to him and the tragedy that he causes. But there is those little quiet moments. And you mentioned the morgue, the scene of Karen in the morgue looking for her husband. She's told you can't be in here.
Well, she screamed at.
Yeah, she screamed at. Yeah, well, the first time he's like, "You're not supposed to be in here," and she's like, "I'm just looking for." He's like, "You're not supposed to be in here," and it's just this pissed off old guy.
What a dick!
Total dick. But I suppose if I was 70 years old working in a morgue, I guess I wouldn't be happy either. So after the morgue scene, we get a little snippet of her and Allison kind of embracing, sitting down, talking about, we're gonna miss Dad. We won't, but they will. So then we cut to.
I'm sorry. Damn it,
There's
Ray.
so much hatred for Ray. You know what? If it wasn't for the peanut butter, maybe I wouldn't hate him so much.
Yeah.
But
and here's what I'm thinking. While he's laying in the morgue, does he still have that peanut butter on his penis?
He might. Well, you know what? He's probably not even in the morgue. Now that I think about it.
Oh, he's probably not.
He's probably because Mikey broke his neck in the front yard of the Strode compound. So
right.
He's either got trampled by firefighters or Michael, or maybe he burned to a crisp. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, Ray probably never made it to the morgue. That's what you get, Ray. That's what you get.
Well, he's still in the ambulance because the ambulance was there, so he's still in the ambulance.
Oh, okay,
paramedics probably got slaughtered too.
Yeah. Because later on they mentioned that all the first responders got taken out. So since they specifically say first responders, that means firefighters and ambulance crew and paramedics and everything.
Yeah.
So
if they're all dead, Ray's still there.
Yeah, Ray's just stuck somewhere. We're not sure. So then we cut to good old Sandra and Phil, which is the older couple.
Right.
Sandra is playing with a drone.
And Phil's looking out the window.
Yeah, Phil's just in there like,
the Strode house is burning down. Whatever.
And then he talks about a sleep apnea mask.
Oh, that's
still smelling like Lucky Strikes after Sandra's mom borrowed it, and she's like, "I don't think that's the Lucky Strikes. I think that's the Strode residence on fire."
I love her line about. Don't you be talking about her? She'll fuck you up.
She will fuck you up. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Because he says something about she leads kind of a troublesome lifestyle, or something to that line, and she's like, better not, she will fuck you up.
Yes.
Because she probably would. Don't fuck with Laurie Strode. And she's playing with this drone, and she's sort of flying it okay, and then Phil's like, let me show you how to do this. And being the
the great pilot that he is.
The great pilot that Phil is, flies it into the bathroom.
Yeah. And we hear it crash.
We hear it crash. Then we hear something, and they kind of walk over there, and then the drone just comes flying back out at them. Not like it was flying, but like as it was thrown.
It was thrown.
And they're like, "Oh shit, what is that?" And so Phil goes to investigate.
Yeah.
It should be as funny as it is. Poor Phil.
It is funny though.
And he goes in there to investigate, and he flips on the light. And the minute the light comes on, Michael is standing kind of by the light, and he bashes the light with his hand to remove the light. And Phil's like, Sandra, there's a giant man in our bathroom with a monster mask on. Sandra's like, oh, shit.
What?
Phil tries to, shut the door and lock Michael out, but Michael breaks through, and he grabs a hold of Phil, and he just slams Phil against the wall. Yeah. And then the glass breaks, and he grabs Phil, and he kind of slams him down, and it sends the shard of glass like right through his neck.
Oh yeah.
Super brutal, super cool, super bloody, super sad for Phil. Michael sets his sights on Sandra.
Oh god.
It's kind of neat that she grabs a knife in the kitchen, and Michael walks in, and he kind of it's almost like he acknowledges that she has a knife, and he kind of looks, and he just falls on another light. in the kitchen and one of those fluorescent lights. So he goes up and pulls it out of its socket there, and he hits it on the counter. It's all jagged, and just walks right over to Sandra and just shoves it right through her neck. Oh, it's brutal. It's gross and awesome. And then, hold on, we're not finished yet.
We're not even close.
Sandra's laying there dying. Phil hollers out, and Michael goes and grabs him and drags him into the kitchen and tosses him over the counter. They have like one of those magnetic holders in their kitchen, and they've got a bunch of knives.
Yeah, a bunch of knives.
So Michael takes this opportunity to do some art. So
while Sandra's watching.
Yeah, while Sandra's watching, yeah.
Yes.
He puts on an art show.
Yes. Grabs a knife.
Yep.
Plunges it into the back of Phil's back. Makes a pin cushion out of him.
Yeah, makes a pin cushion because he didn't do it once. He does it 4 times. 4 times. And on the 5th knife, he's like, yeah, this is a good knife. And just pieces out.
It's like,
it's a good one.
See you later, lady.
Holy moly. Like, we're not far into the movie yet. And at this point, it's some of the most intense, brutal Michael action you have ever seen. And I am just gobbling it up. I love every minute of it.
The one thing that the new trilogy has is the death scenes are just like shit that we've never really seen in a Halloween film. I mean, we've seen, gratuitous death and violence, but these are very well thought out, different ways and Michael can kill people.
They're well done too. The most intense you will ever see Michael Myers. I don't care what gets made in the future. It's going to be really hard to top what Michael's got going on in this one.
Yeah. In this film, he's basically on the vendetta ride,
Yeah.
I mean, he's out for blood because he's pissed off. He's been burned up. He's lost 2 fingers. He's been shot.
Been locked up most of his life.
Yeah.
So
he don't fuck everybody up. Just let him stand at his window in the house.
Yeah. So we cut to the bar with Lonnie and Tommy and Marion and Lindsay. And Lonnie gets a call from Cameron explaining how he found Officer Hawkins. They cut a little bit to the crime scene. It's now a crime scene at Lori's house. The fire's out and the cops are there and they're cleaning up all the bodies and all this nonsense. We cut back to the bar and guess what's on the news and the TV, and everybody starts paying attention. And so they're talking
about the bus crash. They're talking about the Strode compound and all the dead firefighters and paramedics and everything.
Between Lonnie coming by and saying Cameron's in trouble, and now they're seeing this on the news, they're definitely thinking something's wrong. And this is really key because I think a lot of people miss this, and it becomes
I know what you're gonna say.
The number one thing they hate most about this movie. So when they're all going to leave, the nurse and the doctor couple go out to their car, and Dr. Dude forgets his
stethoscope. There you go.
Stethoscope.
I know why you're having trouble saying it, because he's like, I forgot my stethoscope.
Yeah.
he says it really weird. It's like, who's the doctor and who's the nurse? He's a nurse.
He goes a little Mike Tyson with us.
Yes, he does. A stethoscope.
A stethoscope. So he runs back inside to grab it from Marion.
Yes.
Because it's funny because she was a nurse. Anyway, but the girlfriend or wife goes to the car, and one of the escaped mental patients from the bus crash is in there, and we kind of refer to him as Umbrella Man because he's the heavier set, long-haired fella that in 2018 he was outside and he had the umbrella. He's in the car.
I bet he was the same one.
She is the whole reason everybody is kind of solidified in the fact that that's Michael. Michael's there because she runs back inside and she says Michael's in the car because when they were on the news, they showed the picture of Umbrella Man and she made the jump to assume that was Michael. So that's how this all kicks off right there. If you're paying attention.
Yeah. And
that's
I love
where everything starts.
Okay. This is my filmmaking and being on set and everything kicks in. I love how when they show Umbrella Man on the TV, you see from over Tommy's shoulder, you see the TV and it's focused on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
So when they cut to what is obviously a mugshot of Michael, they rack focus. That means they focus in on Tommy as he turns toward the camera. So you see Michael there, but he's out of focus. I love how they did that. So basically saying that Tommy did not see Michael. Right. He saw Umbrella Man.
Yep.
So when he goes out and sees Umbrella Man in the car, he thinks that's Michael because he saw him on the TV.
Yeah. Everybody saw him on the TV.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows what Michael looks like without a mask on. Nobody has any idea.
Right.
Yeah.
In this world, the other movies, the other Halloween movies don't exist. They've never seen Michael outside of 1978. That's it.
So Tommy grabs the bat that the bartender has behind the bar, which I think says Old Huckleberry, I believe.
Yeah.
Old Huckleberry. And this, here's another thing that kicks off that a lot of people hate about the movie. As he's walking by with the bat, there's a little tip jar there for like some fundraiser. And it says, "Love lives today." And so as he's walking by, he throws money in there and he says, "Love lives today, but evil dies tonight." Tommy heads out there, goes to the car. He's assuming that it's Michael. He ends up driving off as Tommy tries to hit the car with the bat, or I think he might even hit it.
He did.
Away. And then
I'm like, what the fuck?
He's just beating up their car.
Oh my god.
That is kind of a stupid thing. I'll give it that one. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb. But he all he does is make it across the street and wrecks the car.
Yes. He makes it down the alley.
He immediately he makes it down the alley a little ways and crashes.
And he hits a. Does he hit a power pole? Knocks over a power line or something too? Because
I don't know. He hit something.
Shit's on fire, right?
Yeah. Car's a little bit on fire. Yeah, and of course he
but
takes
it
off.
Is a movie.
Who wouldn't?
It is a movie, and every car that crashes has to be on fire.
Yeah, even if he hit a squirrel, there would have been a massive explosion. And
yes, a squirrel
went flying down the freeway.
For sure.
So after that, we are introduced to two of my favorite and maybe your favorite little side characters.
Oh my god.
Are introduced to Big John and Little John. Little John, he's just sitting there. He's getting high. He's drinking. He's singing along to his music.
He's getting high on Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh. And he's just grooving. He's living life.
He's grooving.
And
he's grooving. And
then Little John is downstairs getting some snacks ready. Little John is actually Big John, and Big John is actually Little John.
But Little John is actually played by Michael McDonald.
Yes.
Mad TV? Was that Mad TV?
Mad TV, yeah. Stewart.
Yeah. Yes, Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart from Mad TV.
Yes. Yeah. There was that whole meme after this came out.
I can do. Little John comes up to Big John to ask him what he wants to do, if he wants to, sit down and watch a movie and eat some snacks. And of course, Big John is, no, let's listen to some spooky records. It's Halloween, and the doorbell rings. And so, trick-or-treaters. And Big John's like, isn't it a little bit late for trick-or-treaters? They go down to answer it. And there is a little girl at the door, and she's freaking out because her friend got some candy from this house, and there was a razor in her candy. And even though that's a silly, ridiculous excuse, It would have been more believable, like back in '78. Not really for
Yes, it would.
2018, but I mean, initially hearing that there's a child in danger, immediately they're like, "Oh no!" So they both run out there to check on her. It's okay, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's the razor! It's in her puke." What they didn't know is, in the meantime, there's another kid sneaks around and goes and grabs their whole thing of candy and dumps it into his pillowcase or whatever he's got there. And keep in mind, there's 3 kids, and each one of these kids has one of the masks from Halloween 3 on. There's a witch, there's a pumpkin, and a skeleton. So that's cool that they included that.
Yes.
And of course, now that Little John and Big John have been had and they get their candy stolen, they're like, "Oh yeah? Well, do you know whose house this is?" And of course, they tell a creepy story about how it used to be Michael Myers' house.
Yes.
And scare the kids off.
Yeah. Of course, they have no clue who Michael Myers is.
Yeah, they have no clue. So. I think it's Big John. He's like, he stabbed his sister in the tits. And they're like, ah! Oh my God!
Yes. Oh my God. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. we cut to the hospital. And they bring in Hawkins. And Laurie is talking about how it's her fault and she's what brought him here, and Hawkins is like, actually no, Sartain was the one that brought him. And that's
because he was shit fucking crazy.
Yeah, shit fucking crazy. Up until this point, Karen's the only one that knew, but both Allison and Laurie at this point thought that Michael was dead.
Right.
At this point where everybody finds out that Michael is actually still alive. Yeah. Cameron comes in. He kind of makes amends with Allison there. And she goes to take off with Lonnie and Tommy and Cameron.
Michael down.
To hunt Michael, yeah. Because the town has now decided that Tommy's getting everybody in town.
Yeah, Tommy's getting everybody in town, and he's like telling them, "Hey, let's chant 'Evil Dies Tonight,'" and we get that, and everybody has a problem with that. Yes, I get it. I do too. It's
I
overdone.
It, yeah. It's overdone. They take off to hunt Michael because they're Evil Dies Tonight. Nurse and the doctor couple, they head out with Marion and Lindsay. They see some kids at a playground. And so they stop. The reason these kids are out is because they were the kids that just stole the candy from Big John and Little John. So they're like, "Oh, there's this weird man trying to scare us over there."
He's wearing a white mask.
What? Yeah. And Lindsay's like, "Oh, fuck." And of course, it's Michael.
It's Michael.
So Michael comes for him and tries to attack in the vehicle. Lindsay is trying to get the kids gathered up and tries to tell them to take off and run.
Michael has the skull mask from one of the little bastards.
Yes.
It freaks out the other 2 kids because they see that and they take off running.
As she's on her way back to the SUV, she stops with the pillowcase and starts throwing some bricks in one of the pillowcases. Michael is attacking the SUV. Bless Marion's soul. She's got a gun and she says, "This is for Loomis." And she pulls the trigger and nothing happens. Add a bullet and Michael then just stabs the ever-living shit out of her. Yeah, just
I feel so bad for her. Gosh.
Rough. Yeah. So, and then the guy nurse.
The guy
doctor, which
he grabs his stethoscope,
and
starts strangling, stethoscope, and he starts strangling Michael. He does for a fleeting moment.
For a second, and then
what's Michael do?
He just kind of turns around, and then oh man, it's a cool kill. He takes that knife and he shoves it right up through his eye socket. It's a pretty. Lady doctor who has another gun comes up and she's firing randomly.
She's got a Desert Eagle
Magnum pistol. Yeah, it's like a Desert Eagle. Yeah. And she's just firing off rounds like nobody's business.
She's like missing. Which yes, this in the heat of a firefight like that. Well, it's not really a firefight. It's just her shooting at a guy with a knife. um, she misses because she's moving and shooting at the same time, and it's kind of hard.
She's moving and
Yeah.
shooting. So this
But
is really
oh
funny.
my god, this is
I
funny.
so the scene itself is funny, but what makes it extra funny is one of the times I was watching this, my wife was sitting with me watching this, and as she's shooting the giant desert eagle, she's like, "Well, that's stupid. She's not even taking time to aim. You know, what an idiot." And I'm
Right.
like, "That's okay." And like, I was like, "Watch." I was like, "This is what happens when you're an idiot." And of course, Michael kicks open the door, smacks her hand, and then she blows her own head in.
Yeah. Well, there's a song called "Dumb Ways to Die."
Oh yeah, it is.
So-
My kids went around singing that damn song.
Oh my
God, I
gosh.
don't know how long. Dumb ways to die. I think there was a little mobile game that went along with it too. Anyway, yeah.
Possibly.
So yeah, Lindsay gets there and
she got a bag
Michael.
of bricks.
Yeah, she's got a literal bag of bricks at this point.
Yes.
Whammo right to the face, which knocks Michael back. He's stunned.
Yes.
And she takes off the mask.
She starts taking it off. She gets it about to his nose, and he's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. He's like, "Whoa, yeah." That gives her a chance to run away and actually manages to hide from Michael. And so Michael's like, just eventually like, "Fuck it, all right, fine."
I feel really bad for Kyle Richards, who plays Lindsay, because the more you know. Okay. The water, the little body of water that she was next to, they had people around to make sure no alligators or crocodiles or whatever would come up and grab her.
Yikes!
Yes, and I'm like, oh my god.
She also I think she broke her nose at some point in production. Yeah. Wow. But she didn't tell it. She didn't tell anybody because she wanted to keep doing her own little stunts in the movie and keep going. So she didn't say anything until after filming was over and done. She's actually the same actress. So she played herself in 78 and she plays herself again now 40 years later. Same actress.
Yes.
That's pretty cool that they got.
And she was also one of the housewives.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, she's pretty big on one of the reality housewives series. They bring Hawkins in to stay in the same room after surgery with Lori. And they have a little just back and forth there. Lonnie drives by and finds Tommy had stopped because they saw Lindsay's SUV at the park. The nurse and doc are dead on the merry-go-round. They both have.
And Marion, she's hanging from a swing set with the witch mask on. Lonnie's like melting down.
Yeah.
And there we go again. We have a lot of weight for somebody's death.
There's a lot of weight. Lonnie's like, Tommy, fuck, it's Marion. Yeah. You see the tragedy. Yeah. As you mentioned, it's a big thing. It really plays into the movie a lot. And that's what a lot of this movie is about, how much it's affecting the town as a whole. Lindsay is kind of hiding out down there in the ditch. So they find her. She's losing her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's, second go around with Michael Myers. Not many people have those and live to tell the story.
Right.
So cut back to Lori and Hawkins. They have a cute little conversation here because this is when you start to notice that there was a somewhat of a romance going on there. Mm-hmm. It's very obvious that Hawkins is in love with Lori and has been. They refer back to this night at the bar.
He's always wanted her but couldn't
have her because he says specifically he knew she was sweet for Ben Tramer.
Yes,
which is a nice little kickback to 78 as well.
Yes,
because he was supposed to be the boy she went to the dance with back in the 78 movie. Florence Lindsay needs to be seen by a doc, so Tommy brings her in there. And this is the first time we see Tommy and Lori actually interact. Kind of a reuniting.
And Tommy's intensity level is right here.
Right here. It's just like, yeah,
it's at 11. It's at 11.
Yeah, it's at 11. Tommy's character is a bit hammy throughout this whole thing.
He is.
It's maybe a little bit annoying, but it also, like, it's the character, and I think people forget that, like, just because you don't necessarily like the character doesn't mean it isn't a well-written character.
And it's Michael C. Hall playing the character.
And you know, and also again with trauma, you know, we have to remember that this was really hard for Tommy too, you know, the character, and he's been dealing with this for a really long time, and he's really stuck on ending Michael, kind of like Hawkins is. They're both very much stuck on just killing Michael and ending it all. Then we cut back to Big John and Little John again. There's another knock at the door, and they're like, "What the hell?" So they go, they check it, and then they knock at the back door, and they go to check the back door, and then they go and check the front door again.
Little John actually has a butcher knife.
Yes, and he asks. And then Big John asked Little John, "Hey, did you lock the back door?" And he's like, "I'm gonna go check." And he walks back there, and it's open.
Yeah, it's open. It's wide open.
And he's like, "Oh no!" And of course, Big John comes back in from the front, and they hear something upstairs. We cut over back to the hospital, and that's when Umbrella Man makes his way to the hospi's the guy that everybody thinks is Michael at this point.
Yes, and he's hurt.
Yes, he's hurt. He's in a wreck.
From the car crash.
Gouged his head pretty good. Yeah. So and has arguably had a very crazy 24 hours.
Yes, I mean, and he knows he needs a hospital. And here's a hospital. So so
he goes to the hospital. This is where shit starts to kind of go crazy because somebody it takes one person in mob mentality. Mentality takes over, and evil dies tonight, and then people start losing their shit because now they think Michael is there. Because again, nobody has any idea what the fuck Michael looks like. For all they know, that's Michael. And there's nobody that can see him directly, at least not right away, that can say whether or not that's Michael. And the only people that can actively do that would be Lori or Allison or Karen or Hawkins at this point. There's only like 4 people that would be like, yeah, that's not Michael.
Michael has his mechanic outfit and the mask on, and Lori knows that. Allison knows that. Karen knows that. Ray knew that. But everyone else, nobody else knows that. You know, they think he escaped and he's still dressed like an inmate.
Right? They cut back to Little John and Big John again. They're kind of going through and clearing each room. They're hollering back and forth from each other. You know, Little John, Big John, Little John, Big John. John goes into the wrong room first. Michael comes up behind him, and he stabs his knife right. Oh God!
Yeah.
Of all the things in this movie, there's some nasty ass shit, but for some reason, that's the one. Well, that's the Evil Dead pencil in the ankle for me. Like that's
Oh, and here's the thing: in the theater, when I went to see this in the theater, there was a gasp. Everyone gasped in the theater.
Oh,
it was like, oh, everyone just like, oh. And including me, because my gosh,
that's a terrible spot.
Yeah,
I don't know how other people are, but I don't like my armpits being messed with. I'm not ticklish in the armpits. I just don't like leave them. Don't touch them.
It's a sensitive area.
Yeah.
And just imagine you're getting a knife shoved into your armpit.
No, thank you. If that wasn't bad enough, Michael decides that he needs to grab Big John's head and just shove those thumbs right in the eye sockets. Oh man. And so, and it's even better or worse, depending on how you feel about it. And the extended cut, because it's a little bit longer, not only do you see him do it, but you see the eyeballs come out. And pop out. And then Michael's he's just really getting in there. Some deep tissue massage going on. Little John comes in and finds Big John dead. And then he looks over
Michael
and sees
standing at the window.
Standing at that window, like he
And
likes
what
to
does
do.
he say? Michael, you came home.
You've come home.
Yes.
Yeah. Michael turns around and you hear Little John screaming. That's the end. That's the end of the Johns.
Yeah. And
R.I.P. Big John, Little John.
And that's, I've heard people say, "Oh yeah, that was the best death scene in the whole movie because it finally killed those fuckers off." And I'm like, no, that's an impactful death scene because I love the characters.
And like you said, what they're doing is trying to get the audience to have a connection with these characters, so their death has more
has weight
to it.
And if you don't have a connection with any of these characters, especially Big John and Little John, then you're a soulless fucker.
I agree. But also,
and Craig said he'd fight you.
Again.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah, or I don't know. We threatened singing last time. Maybe I'll do it at the same time. We're kicking back over to the hospital. Now that we said goodbye to Big John and Little John. Mob mentality is in full swing now at the hospital. Laurie and Karen are trying to tell people, hey, that's not him, because they've seen him now. People are starting to go crazy. Evil dies tonight. People are starting to trample each other. And as you mentioned earlier...
And the freaking sheriff is right there.
Yeah.
When Tommy's giving this speech of, we're going to kill that motherfucker tonight. And the sheriff's like, I can't do anything about it.
The sheriff kind of sucked to begin with. And he doesn't do anything more. He just kind of gets lost in the trample. At this point. Deaths were having weight. This is actually where the mom sees Oscar in the midst of all this going on. She happens to go by the cadaver or the morgue. Whatever. And sees him laying there.
There's a window there so anybody can see in. But while all of this chaos is going on, we have this special moment with Oscar's mom and Oscar, and they show him dead on the slab in the morgue, and it's just like, they slow everything down to give you, to remind you of how bad shit has really gotten at this point. Then they cut to Hawkins and Laurie, and this is kind of a cool conversation, kind of important because they're throwing fault back and forth. Laurie's talking about how it's her fault, and Hawkins is like, no, it was my fault because, and he goes into the flashback and how he and then actually we see a little bit more of the flashback at this point because we go to find out that they started beating up Michael before they took him into custody back in 78. Right.
And Loomis was actually going to shoot Michael. And at that time, Hawkins, being young and a rookie, there's been so much bloodshed. He stops Loomis from shooting Michael because he can't stop thinking that, that's somebody's baby boy in there, somewhere. Of course, we know better than that, and Loomis knew better, but Hawkins didn't. So he blames himself a lot, too. This is where Laurie specifically says, it's not just Michael. It's what he's done to this town.
Right. Yeah.
How badly this evil has infected the whole town and everybody in it, and we're seeing it fully take effect now because there's this mob chasing a completely innocent guy. Karen ends up finding Umbrella Man, and he is, of course, just terrified, having trouble understanding the whole situation, and probably even harder for him to understand, seeing as he's mentally incapacitated.
Yeah, and she's trying to protect him from the mob.
I'm not sure what floor does.
A few flight of floors, and basically locks him in a hallway.
Yeah, she finds
she can address the mob. And they don't care. They just plow right through her.
When they get up there, they just don't give a shit, and you can see her. She just kind of ends up just. I don't want to say that because she gives up, but she understands there's nothing that can stop it.
Nothing she can do.
It's
gonna run its course.
She can do. Yeah.
So.
And they start breaking the windows, the glass to get in there. Evil dies tonight. Blah blah blah. So Umbrella Man gets a fire extinguisher
Fire
and
extinguisher.
busts out the window, and before everybody can come in and trample him, he just jumps to his own death.
Yeah.
Even though we've been hearing, yes, evil dies tonight, blah, 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 nonstop. Evil dies tonight has been the whole thing. But what it does is actually continue to live throughout everything.
The mob think, yeah, we killed him. We killed him. And then what does Sheriff Brackett do? Looks over this mangled, twisted, broken, beaten,
man, it's gross.
Yeah, it's just, guy.
Oh, it's brutal.
And he's like, it's not him. It's not Michael.
Not him. He's like, Tommy, it's not him.
It's like.
And Tommy's like, but we don't, we never seen him without a mask. We don't know.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, there's no excuse, I mean.
It's not.
Everyone got lost in the moment. And
now look what happened. Michael's not the only one with blood on his hands now.
And Karen has to be blaming herself because she took him up there.
Yeah.
She took him to his death.
She tried to save him. So literally every single person there is now responsible for a death. Now the whole town they're all killers at this point. And this is when Karen's finally like, he's not after Laurie. He wants to go home. Hawkins says maybe that whole time we thought he was looking out, but maybe he was looking in. He's like, but who knows? We cut back over to Lonnie and Cameron and Allison. And you know what? I don't know if we completely skipped over this earlier. Cameron is Lonnie's son. So Lonnie's got a map out, and they kind of discover the same thing.
Right.
Was like tracking down and circling everything that kills. And he's like, oh, it's almost an arrow directly to home. He's going home. So
then Allison's like,
let's go.
That's where we're going.
Yep. So they head to the Myers house.
So
good old Lambton Lane.
Now Allison has kind of taken on the mantle of being Ripley.
Yeah.
From Alien. She starts taking on the mantle of the strong female.
She is becoming the final girl. She is becoming the heroine, and it escalates real quick here at the end of the movie that she is.
Yeah.
But while they're heading over to the old Myers home, Karen is leaving the hospital, and she kind of gets in a little bit of an argument with Tommy. But then they're like, you know what?
I agree with what she says to Tommy. Well, you're gonna sit here and feel sorry for yourself, or you're gonna do something.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna do something.
Karen's like, well, I need a car. He says, I got one of those.
I got one of those. He's got a Mustang,
which all cool dudes do, obviously.
That's right. That is right. All cool dudes have Mustangs.
I need to get
John
one.
Wick. We won't be covering any John Wick movies. So.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe, possibly. Just for the fun of it.
The whole reason that John Wick starts is kind of a horror-esque.
It's kind of. It's a home invasion. Strangers kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a home invasion. There's a murder, and then it's revenge. Anyway, so Lonnie and Cameron and Allison arrive at the Myers house. Lonnie is telling them, I'm going to go in alone. You guys are staying out here. He doesn't want to involve them. He wants to try to keep them safe. So they're like, okay. So he goes in the house, and like right away you hear a gunshot.
Yes.
And they're like, shit, time to go in. So they go in. Lonnie's nowhere to be found. What the fuck was that pumpkin just hanging out in the closet? Like, it's a real jack-o'-lantern carved pumpkin. I don't know why there was a fully carved jack-o'-lantern just hanging out in a closet.
I don't know.
Anyway, so as they're searching around the house, of course, they find Big John and Little John. And also, once again, here Michael is putting them on display because you see a picture of them on like a nightstand, and he poses them in the room the same way they are in the picture.
Yeah.
Cameron knows that there's blood dripping from the ceiling. She looks up and sees Lonnie, his dad.
Yeah.
Michael just comes out of nowhere and starts attacking Cameron and stabs him a couple times.
I mean, when Cameron sees Michael, that he turns into a girl. He's like,
like, yeah. I would. I probably would too, honestly.
Yeah, because I mean, just
shit.
the force that Michael's coming at him.
Yeah,
with is like
he does. I'll give him props. He does fire off a shot, He did have intention. He misses.
Doesn't it? So,
Michael stabs him a couple times, is roughing him up. But
oh,
here,
God, yeah.
Allison comes up to defend Cameron, and she stabs Michael with the knife. And she stabs him like 2 or 3 times, gets him in the chest. And it's like, oh, okay, now this is like we talked about this earlier. Allison is full on into this. And also, yeah, Michael makes it a point to register that, that's what we're doing, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool how
Laurie 2.0
grabs her and and looks right in her eyes and just acknowledges you like I'm gonna love killing you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just tell, even with the mask on, and James Jude Courtney's body language is just great.
Michael tosses Allison down the stairs.
Yes.
And that fucks up her ankle.
Yep.
Then he takes poor Cameron. And this is pretty brutal. He shoves his head through like the banister, and it's just like slamming him up and down.
When I saw this the first time in the theater, I'm like, holy shit, that's brutal, because he's doing it. He's doing it in front of Allison. That whole thing plays out like he's just torturing. He's not torturing Cameron. He's torturing Allison.
He's torturing Allison, absolutely.
When he's done, I mean, it's very methodical. And when he's done with that, he just he drops him there, and he comes around the banister and starts coming down the steps, and he's like stops at Cameron, and he's like, oh, and he's gonna break his neck now, and Allison's screaming, and he breaks the neck. So that was all to unhinge her.
Yeah, absolutely. He stops
to destroy her. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just a psychotic nature of Michael.
It's fucked up
on full display.
So obviously Michael goes after Allison at this point. Michael gets a hold of her, and she tells him to do it. She tells him to do it. Come on, do it. But you notice the second or third time she says that she's kind of looking past Michael,
past Michael,
just a little bit, and that's
and
Karen.
I think that catches Michael off guard, where he's like gonna stab her, and he's like, she wants me to kill her. So it's like Michael's like I don't want to do something that somebody wants me to do. You know what I mean? You can tell there's like a pause in him, and then we see Karen has a pitchfork, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because, it's the villagers running after the monster with the pitchforks and torches. And that's the way I took it. And I'm like, hell yeah. That's 100%. Funny.
And also the pitchfork didn't come out of just nowhere. It's been on the front porch of the Myers house or Big John and Little John's house the whole time that it's been out there with those scarecrows. So it's not like Karen just magically got a pitchfork to do this with.
Yeah, and when I first saw the pitchfork out there, I'm like, oh, Michael's going to kill somebody with it. Oh, I was wrong. Wrong. Great. I'm glad I was wrong.
Stabbed. Yeah.
Yes. So she stabs him in the back and
stabs him in the back and gets him down the stairs and takes off his mask.
But she kicks him in the face. She stomps on his face first.
Yes. Yeah.
She takes the mask off. But she has a plan.
She takes off the mask and she kind of lures. She's baiting Michael to follow her.
She goes out to the front yard. She holds it out there, and she's like, "You want your mask back? Well, come and get it."
Yep.
And Allison's like, "Well, what are you doing?"
No, Mom. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
of course,
she has no
this
clue
is Michael. This being one of his only weakness is that he wants to have that fucking mask on, and so he blindly goes after her.
She goes through the neighborhood.
She cuts through the backyard. Yep.
This is all planned, and leaves it in the road. And then Michael, he comes around the house or whatever, and he sees the mask there, and he stops for a minute. He's like, "This is odd." So he's thinking. So he can think.
Oh,
he's like, But he's drawn to that mask so strongly that he's got to go over to it.
He's got to go get it. He's got to go pick it up.
Once he gets there and he's standing there looking down at it, vehicles.
Yep.
On the right side of him, lights pop on, and And he's like, what? And then vehicles pull up to the left of him, and he's like, what? And it's like, shit, all these people just start getting out of these vehicles, and they surround him. So what do they let him do? They let him bend down, pick up that mask, and put it on.
Shouldn't have let him do that.
Idiots.
Brackett fires like 3 or 5 shots into him alone.
And he gives that line like before he shoots it, before anything happens.
Before anything happens, he says the line.
Yes,
because everyone's entitled to
a good
scare. And then they go ape shit on Michael, and they do beat the living hell out of him. Hardcore.
They do.
As this is going on, Laurie's voice kicks in.
Yes,
kind of in the background. It's a narration that's going on as she's talking about the evolution of Michael and the evil. She specifically even says the line, how he isn't just flesh and blood. You can't kill him with brute force. He is the essence of evil. She says you can't kill him with brute force. He is, he's the essence of evil. And that's really when they kind of fully embraces the fact that there's more to Michael than just being this deranged serial killer or something to that effect.
And it's funny you would use the word deranged, because right now the mob are deranged.
Yes.
This
is what Michael has turned the town into.
We see it in full force, and
then
Karen shows up, and Tommy's like, "Go be with your daughter," and Karen's like, "No, I'm gonna stab him one last time," and she stabs him right in the back,
with a kitchen knife.
Yeah, and now we think Michael's dead.
And then this is still a little bit of narration of Laurie going on, and I think Hawkins makes the line, "If only we knew then what we knew now," and that's when Michael kind of comes back or wakes up or what have you. And he just unloads and slays every single person there.
He does.
He's able to take everybody out there, because most of it's just hand-to-hand combat. I think Brackett's the only actual one with a gun.
And I think he's like the first. Well, Michael grabs his knife and cuts Brackett's throat.
That's right. Yep.
While he's still on the ground.
Yep.
And
because Brackett's been over him.
Because what happens in that moment, Michael grabs the knife, slashes Brackett. Everyone else is in shock. It's a major oh shit moment for everyone.
Yeah.
And Michael's cutting people's Achilles tendons and shit.
Tommy finally meeting his end. Because he goes to swing on Michael, and Michael stabs him. But that's not it. He takes the bat and, it hits Tommy once. He's hit Tommy so fucking hard that he broke the bat.
Broke the bat, yeah.
And so the bat has kind of a point to it now, and it's slivered. And he takes it and he stabs Tommy with the bat.
Yeah, which, all of that is off camera, off screen. So
we don't see it actually happen. We just, in the extended cut, you see the broken piece of a bat coming up, and then it coming down.
Which I believe all of that was shot inside of a warehouse. And because the evening that they were shooting that, they ran out of night and the sun came up, and so they had to go in a warehouse and finish the scene. That's what I heard from people that were on the production.
And we're not finished yet, because we cut back to the Myers home, where paramedics and other cops have shown up, and Karen is sitting with Allison. And she gets up and kind of walks away, and she looks up, and she sees Kid Michael in the window. So she decides to go back inside and go up to the room and stare out the window herself. And so she goes up there.
I kind of got the feeling, the first time I watched this, she's being lured in. She's being drawn in by her, whatever that evil is that's around Michael.
And this is where things get nice and sad, because as she's looking out that window, Michael does actually turn up.
This death is there's been a lot of brutal deaths in this film, but this one this one is personal, and you can tell it's personal. You can tell Michael is like, it's very angry. It's over the top brutal. It's pure evil. It's pure psychotic. And my hat's off again to James Jude Courtney for being able to pull that off.
Absolutely.
With his body language.
This is the last thing in the film that's a little bit different between the theatrical version and the extended version, because the extended version has a little bit of an alternate ending here, because theatrical, that's it cuts off. That's the end of the movie. We're done.
Yeah.
Super cliffhanger.
Yeah.
He stabs Karen, and then that's it.
Yeah, and then in this version, we cut to Karen's phone ringing, and it says unknown number. Ooh, and then we cut back to Laurie in the hospital, and she's on the hospital phone calling Karen. And Karen doesn't answer, but somebody does. And what she hears breathing. Is Nick Castle breathing into the phone. And she says, "I'm coming for you, Michael." So,
yep. I'm coming for you, Michael. And she grabs the knife that Allison left her. Yep. And that's where we end it.
Yeah, she walks through the crowd at the hospital, and we cut to black a couple times over the past couple weeks preparing for this deep dive. I'm going to rank it a little higher than I would have before rewatching it. And I'm going to rank it as the same as 2018. 8 toe tags.
Ooh, yeah. I got the 8, same as 2018.
Yes.
As you know, Halloween Kills is my favorite of the 3 new movies. So I can't give it that elusive 10. I just can't, because that's saved for the creme de la creme, type of thing. But I'm okay with giving it a 9 out of 10.
Ooh,
9 out of 10 Toadcats. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. It is officially my second favorite film in the entire Halloween franchise. The original 78 being my first favorite. Halloween Kills comes right after that. And I think a lot of the things that people complained about for whatever reason, that's not
didn't
how
bother
I.
you.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. That's not how I read it the first time through.
Right.
And then getting those reactions for other people. So I think, and with a lot of films, like it's not because there was anything wrong with the film itself. I just don't think people are grasping or catching things.
Right. It was David Gordon Green and Danny McBride writing the film that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
And I say this to people all the time. If you want to bitch about a movie, go make one yourself.
Yeah.
Just go make one yourself. I have, and it's a lot of work. It's a couple of years of your life spent on one particular project, and it's hard. It's hard to get it made. It is. And once you do, you will have an appreciation for for films. You know, I've made my film. I've helped other filmmakers make their films. I've been associate producer. I've been a producer. I've been an actor. I've been a makeup effects artist. I've been a writer, and I'm grateful that I've been given those opportunities, and I don't cut anyone else's film down. It might not be something that I'm into, okay, but I'm not gonna cut anybody's film down. You know, I will watch it. If somebody wants me to watch their film and review it, I will watch it. I will review it. If there's technical issues with with the project, I'll be like, here's, and I might not have done this way or whatever, but my hat's off to anybody that has made a film.
I think it's very rare. This is me speaking, not knowing a damn thing about it, but I think it's very rare for a filmmaker's vision. And yeah,
you're gonna learn.
I think it's extremely rare for the filmmaker, or specifically the director and the screenwriter, for their initial vision to actually be there 100% at the end of everything. It just and especially for big Hollywood release films, maybe it's a little bit easier in a more independent industry, just because you don't have as many hands from the companies maybe involved, or at least they don't have the pressure they can put on. But very rarely, I think, does a director's full vision come out and they're completely happy with what ended up being there, because it's just like anything else you do or make. There's no perfection. It's almost impossible to attain.
Right. Here's a perfect example. Okay. Great director, David Fincher. Okay. Great. I mean, yeah, Seven. Okay. Great movie. Alien 3, not so great. Studio. The studio involvement on that film just ruined that movie. So
they destroyed it. For proof of concept, you can actually purchase the novelization of the original story that Alien 3 was supposed to be, and it's too bad we didn't get that. Although initially, I think there are some things I wouldn't have liked that happened and where the story went. It would have been at least an enjoyable film, because especially in today's age, Alien 3 is just, there's nothing about it that holds up very well. It was so massacred at the end of it all that it's hard to believe it's a David Fincher film, but it's not his fault in any shape or form. I don't blame David Fincher for that, for Alien 3 not being.
I mean, he's even came out and said, he just owns the movie because there was so much studio involvement, and that's the thing. That's the thing you have to deal with when you're dealing with multiple producers, and a film is very much a collaborative effort. But sometimes, the studios, they have the upper hand.
I think we've covered everything about Halloween Kills, and we've expressed.
Except this, the body count on this film it's debated. Is it 30 or is it 35 or is it 32 or what? Nobody really knows the exact number of people Michael killed in this movie, but it's up there, making Michael Myers the John Wick of the horror genre. It's gonna do it for this episode.
Yeah, I think that does it for us.
Macabre.
Yes, Corn on the Macabre. If you haven't seen Halloween Kills, watch it immediately. If you have seen it and didn't care for it, give it another watch. Give it another chance.
And let us know what you thought of it in the comments below. And like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks all for coming.